What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mr. Straight Facts Show. I am Mr. Straight Facts. Excuse me. And let's get into this day. All right. Today, there was a few things. I named this live Weak White People Lie About American History to Excuse the Evils of Their Ancestors. The reason why I wrote it and the reason why it's called that is because it's true. Only weak white people get pissed off at the fact of true history. Why would you be mad at something black people had to go through and your ancestors did? A system that gives you benefits to this day. White privilege is based off of slavery. And you know you have privilege. And you got it because of that, but it still lingers on for you, but you don't think slavery still lingers on for black people. The racism doesn't linger on for us, but the privileges from racism still lingers on for you. It doesn't make any sense. 1 + 1 does not equal 15. It equals 2. What's up, Dennis? So that's the reason why I labeled this weak white people lie about American history to excuse the evils of their ancestors. We've all seen this weak woman, Jillian Michaels. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but I would call Child Protective Services on her because that black child is not learning his or her history. They're learning this whitewashed bullshit that's in her mind. And I told everybody from the jump, I knew who she was talking about. I knew exactly where she got those stats from. From a Jewish man that doesn't even like being Jewish. He thinks that he's white. Dennis Prager. Dennis Prager at PragerU is where she got that info from. Nobody had to tell me. I knew it from the moment it came out of her mouth. Why? Because I did extensive research on him earlier, like last year. Matter of fact, I'm going to play the exact video that I played back then on Straight Facts No Chaser, Fuck Your Feelings. Okay? But before I do, I knew where she got her stats from. And here's the thing. There are legitimate books to find out history. These weak white people seek out PragerU so they can get information that doesn't make them feel bad. And the moment it doesn't make them feel bad, they take that as to be facts. But if you go read every scholarly book, people who are geniuses, Dennis Prager is a dropout, okay? This dude went to a college that's like 200 and something on the list. He is not a genius. He is a complete dropout, a loser. But the thing is, he goes around trying to rewrite history so that people pay him money. That's why he has PragerU. It used to be Prager University, but he couldn't say university because it's really not a fucking school. It's not accredited for jack. Everything he says is made up, or it takes pieces of a truth and makes it a complete and utter lie, but it has truth sprinkled in it. That's like me telling you, it's a nice chocolate cake, but I sprinkled a little shit in it. Go ahead and eat it. It still tastes like chocolate. That's what he's done to our history, African American history, which I call American history from a black brilliant perspective. America would not be America without black people. You built your wealth off of us. And people say, my uncle, my great-grandmother, great-great-great never had slaves. You still benefited from it. You still benefit to this day. Do you believe there's such thing as white privilege? Yeah. Where do you think it came from? Slavery. So white privilege can travel all the way from slavery until today and continue going on with this white supremacy bullshit. But you want to say that slavery's over, but we're not still benefiting or dealing with the repercussions of slavery. We're supposed to look at it and say, oh, this piece of cake with shit in it tastes good. While you sit there and try and make it seem that it doesn't exist. It didn't happen. It happened, but it wasn't that bad. Jillian Michaels, this trick literally tried to come on television and double down afterwards, spewing PragerU crap. None of it being true. It is all jaded. It's like me telling you the facts about, oh, it's 5 o'clock, but when it's 5:10, it's still 5 o'clock. No, it's not. It's in the vicinity, but it's not. What she just said this past week, and as you see all throughout the United States, there's white supremacy taking back over again, but it's not called white supremacy on their point. They're trying to make it about crime going up. I'm telling you, back in the day, there used to be something called the Southern Strategy. The Southern Strategy, if you listen to the guy who started it, or at least was the one who implemented it for Reagan, is a video online. He says the Southern Strategy started out that we used to be able to tell people, don't fuck with those N-words, N-words, N-words. He says the whole word with N-I-G-G-E-R. And he said, you guys aren't recording this. This is off the record, right? They were still recording. They said yes. He continued on saying we used to say that, but then we couldn't say that no more. So then we said busing or something like that, which whenever we said busing, it was saying the N-word, right? So what matches up today that they mention that they fuck with black people, but they don't say the N-word? That would be woke. Just like busing back in the day, doesn't sound like it's a cuss word. Doesn't sound like it's racism, does it? We can't have this busing. It sounds a lot better than saying we can't have these N-words around here. So when they say woke, they're saying that. It's the exact same strategy. It is the Southern Strategy. If you don't know what it is, go look it up. And they did it over and over and over again. They think they're slick, but they are slick to dumbass people. And they think everybody is stupid. And we keep proving them right because we don't do our homework to find out these subliminal messages that they're putting out there. Racists know what they are. It's the rest of us who aren't racist that don't think nothing of it. Attaching Latin people to crime, the same shit. Racist white people don't have a new trick in the game. They use the same trick. They just change the words. So that's why black people know what the fuck is going on in this country. And if you don't know anything about the Southern Strategy and how racist white men and women play this game, then yes, you'll sit around here looking like Boo Boo the Fool, talking about it really ain't that bad. And a PragerU didn't tell it. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Learn the fucking history of this country and you won't keep falling for the same fucking tricks that has a different name on it. I can give you a chocolate cake made out of chocolate, give you one made out of shit. You look at both of them. They may look the same when cooked, but one's shit and one's not. And the only way you're going to know how to tell the difference is to be able to do your homework. They're giving you shit, Jillian. They're giving you shit and you think it's chocolate. And the sad part about it is that woman sought out lies. You'd have to search for PragerU. PragerU is not within the lexicon of anything. Nobody gives a fuck about PragerU but racist white people. And she's raising a black child with racist ideologies. And using that black child to say, I'm not racist. Fuck you and your whole fucking lineage. Jillian Michaels, you're a piece of shit human raising a black baby. Somebody needs to call protective services on you so that child can get out of that home. At this point in time, that child is in a bad situation. You're not a good mom. You can't be a good mom telling a black child the bullshit that came out your mouth as if it's facts. Slavery wasn't bad and only 2% of the people had it. It can't be that bad. Everybody was doing it. Bitch, shut up. Just shut the fuck up. You have no fucking clue what the fuck you're talking about. Or you're just racist as fuck raising a black child. I don't get it. I don't get it. If you wake up every day having these disrespectful thoughts toward black people, when you see that black child come out the room every day. You can't help but have those same evil ideologies toward that child. You're trying to brainwash that child to believe in the white bullshit that you want to spew, just so that you can feel better. Never mind. You know what? Let's just go into the psychology of this bullshit, okay? Never mind that. I'm going to do something for Jillian real quick. Let me give you a perspective, Jillian. You're worried about white guilt, but you don't give a fuck about black pain. You are trying to make white guilt, being like feeling guilty about the evils of your ancestry, that black child won't know the truth about his or hers. I think it's a girl, won't know the truth about hers. So she'll never be fully aware of her blackness. She'll have this white, jaded bullshit information, and she will step amongst other black people and not be accepted unless they have that same bullshit information. If you love your child, you would actually go and find the actual facts. There are too many books that's been around since 1700, 1800. All these things have the information. Hell, Christopher Columbus's book, literally, his documentation literally tells you he never stepped on American soil, United States or the North America. He was over there in South America, but still. He talked about the ills and the crazy shit he did, but no. You guys twist everything, and you only want to listen to white people that want to make you feel good about history. You want to take our history and destroy it so that if it molds you. The idea of your white guilt overshadowing black pain, the shit our ancestors went through, the shit that we still do because of slavery, not even knowing that it was attached to slavery. It's just a part of our natural, the way we do things, not even realizing the things that we're doing was because our ancestors was forced to do it. But we do it like on a common, like regular level. You have no idea of the things. A lot of black people don't know the ideas of the things that they do that their mom and dad taught them was done only because they were afraid of white people. I've talked about it many a times on this and other platforms. If you see a white person walking down the street with a friend or two, and you see a black person walking by themselves on that same sidewalk, that black person, 9 times out of 10, if they don't know their history, if they just listen to what their mom and dad told them and they're somewhere around my age, they're going to get up off that sidewalk and let your whole entire white family walk on that damn sidewalk while they can step in grass and shit and then have no problem thinking that they were nice. They weren't nice. They thought they were nice, and the white people walking by them, either you don't know your history or you're proud of the fact that that Negro got over. But the reason why that child or that black person got over was because of slavery, because of Jim Crow. Because in history, if a black person was walking down the street on the sidewalk, that sidewalk was white people's sidewalk. Once white people stood on it and black people on it, you had to get off. And if not, you could get beat, killed, hung, tied to a car, dragged down the street, murdered, just for walking on the same fucking street. You want to say slavery wasn't that bad, and that was Jim Crow after slavery was over. I'm getting tired of these white people feeling like they got control of our fucking history just because they don't want to feel bad. Fuck your feelings. You didn't have to go through it. You didn't have ancestors tell you about it. You don't have any of these stories of how black people felt. And once you do in a museum, you want to tear it down because it doesn't fit the narrative of what you believe white people were like back in the day. Or, you know, they were still good to me. Fuck you. It ain't about you. You want to feel good, then go sit and talk to your white family about some shit. But don't go into a museum that's talking about black folk and what they had to go through, and because you feel a little pain about it, even though nobody in your family had to go through it, you want to annihilate it and get rid of it. Well, excuse me, but Jillian and all the rest of you white people out there that's got issues learning about the real history of this country, fuck you, fuck your mama, fuck your daddy, fuck all y'all. Fuck your children. Because You're sitting here talking about what you want your kids to feel like. Fuck you. I want my kids to feel strong. I don't want them to sit here and be told their history doesn't fucking matter. Well, then your history don't fucking matter. Don't teach it at all if that's the case. Let me go around teaching some whack ass white history that ain't even true, just so that you can bolster yourselves and fuck over black people once again. I think it's about time black people are due their fucking history. They're due their fucking respect for what they fucking did to this country or for this country. When you think black, you should be looking up like, wow, these people did all this shit for our country. The biggest, the strongest patriot were enslaved people. Because they stayed in this country. They could have all had mass suicides just so you white motherfuckers would have to do it your damn selves, but they didn't. They stuck around. They raised your baby. They put their own breast milk in your fucking baby's mouths. And this is the payment they get back? Try to get rid of it? Because you were sycophants? Because you were fuck-ups? Now it's time for you to know what the fuck we went through, and your family should know about it so you don't repeat it. You can't handle it. I don't understand you inferior fucks. But the thing is, the history is the history. You don't like it, move. Go find another place where white people weren't as cruel so you can be happy about that. But here in this fucking country, my fucking country, my people, descendants, help build this bitch. I have every right to know what the fuck happened here. That you have to know what the fuck happened here. Now, there's some good things that your white people did for you. Now, be happy about that. But when it comes to the fucking truth of this country and my people, you can't hide my people's shit just so you can feel better about your ancestors. She gonna sit here and talk about 2%. 2% only own slaves. Fuck you. White supremacy is still here to this day. You got white people talking about they supreme. They inferior as fuck. You can't hear about what happened. But black people got to live through it. We go day to day telling our kids. When have you told your kids how to act out in public because white people will take your life and have no fucking responsibility for killing our babies? When have you ever done that, white people? Never. Our kids have. Continue to do. And when it starts to get better on TikTok and other platforms where people start listening to the history and the kids are like, man, that's fucked up. And they don't want it to happen again. Oh, no. That's when white people start to react and say, wait a minute, my kids are coming to me and saying that my ancestors were bad. What do you mean George Washington was horrible? Well, he took slaves and he hid them and he chased one of them down forever. That ain't even good. He ain't that great of a person. Wait a minute. The history that I learned about white people being so great and grand, we're superior and all this shit don't work no more? No. Oh, we got to change it. And guess what? The moms of liberty is the same thing as the daughters of the Confederation. A confederacy, rather. Yeah, the same shit. You don't want to be like your ancestors and don't compare you to your ancestors, but you're doing the exact same shit as your ancestors. You can't separate yourself from something that you're doing the exact same of. You're one and the same. You can't be different. Right after slavery was over, the daughters of the Confederacy did the exact same thing that the moms of liberty are doing right now. But this time around, they got black and Latin, Asian people in the group, helping them out get rid of the history of this country so that white people look better than they actually should look in history. See, your ancestors are not you. But those who are doing the same things as their ancestors, you become them. You can't do the same things. If I rob someplace, I am a robber, right? If I hide history like racist people did, you're a racist. Especially if you're hiding the same history. They whitewashed our history when I grew up. My mom grew up. Since 1860 something, whatever it is, they have been trying to whitewash. Think about this for a hot second. Because I ain't gonna fucking like sugarcoat shit. I want you to feel fucking bad, because you should. Jillian, you should feel bad. Why? Because you're upholding that shit. Instead of saying this shit was horrible, we don't ever do it again. We need to teach it so nobody does it again. You want to hide it so that your people can, you and your family and everybody else can feel better about it. But at the same time that you sitting at the table, at the dinner table with your black child, you white motherfuckers feel better. But that black child thinks it's a part of your life. And it's not. When your white ass die, her black ass gonna have to deal with being black. And it ain't gonna be good for her. How can you love somebody that you lying to? You don't love your child. How the fuck can you love your child and lie to her? That black child need to be put with a black family or somebody white that understands what the fuck black people went through, and give that child a proper education so they grow up knowing their fucking history, not living there, but knowing it. Because if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And what you're doing is putting your child back in a situation where generations from now, they'll be so ignorant about it that when something happens, they're going to try and turn black people into slaves again, like they're trying to do to the Latin people. See, the Latin people are getting kicked out of the country. Did you hear Donald Trump, the dude that you like so much? What did Donald Trump say? He said black jobs back when he was running for president. These Latin people were taking black jobs. People didn't really pay attention to that, what he was talking about. You know, it wasn't, everybody was kind of upset. Black jobs. Voting is my black job. All this stuff like that. We went through that. But people didn't go into the details of what that racist fuck was trying to say. He was saying that field work, that picking cotton, where these people out there picking grapes and oranges and shit, were black jobs. So you didn't add 1 + 1 and come up with 2. Y'all was coming up with 11. You thought it was like productive jobs. You thought they was going to pay people more for it and get them out of here. No. They were literally talking about black people need to be doing those jobs again. I got news for you, Jillian, and all you racist fuckers out there. Ain't a black person stepping out of no field. You can go out there and get those coons to do it, but you sure as fuck ain't going to get us to do it. You talk about a civil war? Yeah, bring it the fuck on if you think you're going to try and put black people back out there. We'd rather die than go back out in the field. So you might want to get your white hands ready to get cut up and thorned up to go out there and pick your own fucking fruit. Shuck your own corn. Because we ain't coming. And that's what Donald Trump was saying. Didn't appear to seem like, they don't want to do it. Fuck no. Maybe you would have asked him before you decided to get rid of the Latin people and the free kind of labor you had. Now he's talking about his farmers aren't doing well. That's because of racism. And you don't see it, Jillian, yet you're raising a black child. Poor baby. I don't know how old the child is. But if this shit is around forever, get your ass up out that house. Because that's just as bad as slavery. Giving a black child the wrong information and thinking they're going to walk out into the world and live a life like a white person. It ain't going to happen. You're going to get that child killed. And if you're not giving that child the information of walking outside with these racist fucks and she thinks she's white, she will be dead before she's 40. These racist fucks out here will fuck her up. And you're not preparing her for that? It's child abuse. I said what I fucking said. You're a piece of shit. You need to stop trying to raise black people. You don't even know our fucking history. You're lying about it. You got it from PragerU. Dennis Prager is a dropout dipshit. I don't know why the hell you're teaching black people and in Oklahoma having some kind of test about history. I would take your fucking test, and I tell you what, I guarantee you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. How are you teaching kids without having true history, having a bunch of bullshit history? You know why I know it's bullshit? Because I studied PragerU. Way back when Candace Owens was a acceptable Negro. But once she told the truth about some shit, they kicked her ass out. But not after they got her voice on a few of these damn cartoons lying about, these Indian people came and they were savages and all this other bullshit. You research what the fuck they said. This is the thing that kills me. Everything that PragerU says and everything that Jillian said on CNN, Abby Phillips' show, go look it the fuck up and you'll find out none of it's true. She didn't even search the history. You don't love your child enough to go seek out the truth. You go out and seek out what your white feelings feel like instead of that black baby's pain. You don't give a shit about that black child. How can you? What she's going to have to go through? You think she's going to go to school? They're going to think of her as a white child, a white mother. They're going to treat her right. They're going to call her all kind of N-words. And she's not going to be able to tell you her pain because you can't understand it. You're going to sit here and try and tell her, oh, that's the past, baby. It's going to happen anyway. People don't even worry about it. You're not a victim. You're a victor. All that bullshit. Instead of telling her, I understand your pain. You never can understand her pain. So that child's living in a home where nobody can understand her fucking pains. Everything she feels, you're going to try and negate it and say it's not real. What kind of parent is that doesn't listen to the child? You're horrible. There's no way in hell you should be raising a black child. Somebody, you can hear my voice, that knows her, call Child Protective Services on that bitch. That bitch is fucking that child's life up. If you don't know and haven't searched black history, true black history, if she don't have somebody black teaching her the true history of her fucking culture, whether she came from this country or not, maybe she came from Africa, she may need to know that culture. But you trying to whitewash her and give her some bullshit antics about what the fuck it is so that your heart feels good? You don't want to sit there and tell your black child. So when you were, if she's from the United States, well, the culture of America, people who look like mommy used to own people like you. And yeah, we used to cut your mommy's bellies open because we didn't like the way you guys looked. And we cut it all the way open and we took you out while you was a crying little fetus. You were still connected to your mom. Don't worry about your mom. She didn't feel no more pain. We killed her. Oh, but here's the thing. We cut the umbilical cord and we used to play games with you. We used to take you up and you was crying and shit. We would toss you to alligators and see how fast it would take it to kill you. That's what we used to do, but we're not that way anymore. See, she can't have these kind of conversations with her child and have no empathy or sympathy. She has to negate it and say it never happened. Or everybody did it. It's not a big deal. How do you think that child feels not knowing? How do you think that child's going to feel when she finds out from a black person the true history? That her mommy lied to her? That she's been living in the enemy's home because the enemy never told her the truth, because the enemy felt guilty about what it did to her? And the fact is that you didn't put your child through slavery, but you enslaved her mind to believe in white supremacy, because white supremacy is all about telling lies about the history so that white people can feel good about their lives, their ancestors, so they can talk about George Washington and all these other Robert E. Lees, because you got to excuse what they did to black people in order for you to champion what they did for white people. See, you're all happy. Oh, what they did for white people. And then once white people, look what they did to black people. Ah, man, you're such a bummer. I feel so good about what he did for us. Let's forget what he did for you and think about what he did for us. You're always in the negative. Stay with the positive. Say what? What's positive about raping and hanging and cutting the slung off and putting on? If you think about it. You think about it. In history, they don't want you to know because their ancestors were fucked. Right? I mean, put yourself in the position of thinking, I want to take you there. You know who I am. I take you there with verbal, visual. I'm going to take you there. Let's take you back to slavery. Because it appears that some white people just don't fucking get it. She make it seem like slavery was just picking cotton. No, slavery was the master sitting out on the porch while everybody's picking cotton. He's picking the one he's going to rape that night. Looking at her. She was good last week. I'm going to take her daughter. I know she's 10, but her. She's ripe, fertile. She's coming into my room. I'm not going to go get her. I ain't touching her like that. I ain't doing no manual labor. I have one of my guys go get her. Go prepare the slave for me. And take a 10-year-old into a room, undress the child, and does what they do. Dad finds out about it. He's ready. He's fuming. What the fuck, master did this? He goes to confront her with his head down, not being able to look in the eye. I don't think it's right what you did to my daughter. And then what he do to him? You confront me? That's my baby. I can't look in the eye. That's my baby. Oh, you confront me. Oh, in front of all these people. String him up. So in one day, he raped the child and killed the dad. This shit ain't no fucking like nightmare. This is reality. This is what these people did on a day-to-day fucking basis. And when they found out we keep killing these Negroes, we need people to work. They started breeding us. See, PragerU will teach you lies about 300,000 or something like that only came over here. That's true. But they didn't tell you about the breeding houses they built. See, that 300-something thousand turned into, when slavery is over, well over 4 million. How do you think that happened since no more slaves were brought over? Oh, yeah. As soon as they can start having their period, they had them matched up with people going to breeding houses. Some of their jobs were to go to these breeding houses and live, and men would just go, and they'd pay some of these men, if it was masters, friends and shit, they'd pay the master to get them some or whatever these girls and women were. And don't get it twisted. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it wasn't just women. You don't think that, back in the day, these men weren't gay. Oh, fuck yes, they were. They had to get them a piece of the buck every once in a while, too. I know it sounds gross and unchristian-like, but that's your fucking ancestors. Did all that crazy, evil shit, and you want people who are black to look up to them? To say they did something great? I don't give a fuck if it was Jesus' nephew. Fuck them. You guys keep on trying to ask us to forgive when you never fucking said you were sorry. Every culture in this damn country that has been harmed by this damn country has received reparations from this damn country. And the fact that hardly any white people want to give black people what they deserve tells me right now that you're part of this racist clan. You can't tell me you gave it to Native Americans, indigenous people. You gave it to the Japanese people. You gave it to the Chinese people. Hell, you gave it to the Jewish people, and we saved their fucking lives. We didn't fucking enslave them here. We didn't do anything egregious to them here. We still gave them money reparations and helped them even fucking take over an area that they call Israel now. But no, black people. You wouldn't even tell black people that the Statue of Liberty is the reason why it's here. Statue of Liberty ain't about any kind of immigration. It's about black people being freed. The monument from France to say, thank you for letting black people be free and have a true fucking democracy. We couldn't even have that. And you want to talk about this country is not racist. Then why the hell are we still talking about the Statue of Liberty as if it's about fucking immigration? It is not, never has been, never will be. That's a white lie. How many years did it take for them to fucking tell the truth about that? And how pissed were they that they had to tell the truth because people kept telling the fucking truth? They couldn't explain away the shackles at her feet because they were supposed to be on her wrist. Thanks to the guy who designed it. Because he would never let, for the rest of all history, to let us forget that that was about slavery, the ending of slavery. So black people, that monument is for you. Fuck what anybody else tells you. The Statue of Liberty is for black folks. It's because we were set free. So when you go celebrate it for that, fuck what they're telling you. See, they don't want me to tell you this shit, but fuck them. We done been nice, kind, cordial. We ain't never asked to take over anybody. We just ask for kindness, respect, to be reciprocal, love us like we love everybody else. We do so much for people. And to ask, just to ask to treat us with respect is too fucking much for you. Huh, Jillian? Michaels? To ask to give us our respect of our history. Because see, when we learn about our history, we know how resilient we are. We know how strong we are. We know what we've been through. We know what we're not going to go through again. We know where we came from and we know where we're going. But if you take away where we came from, then we're wandering out without history, just floating in the motherfucking sea with no history because you done took it the fuck away because you can't handle it. It's back to when we were enslaved, where we had to tell our kids about the history of Africa because you guys didn't teach us shit. You the ones who took us from there. So as long as it could last, them teaching each other about each other's history and it being passed on from slave home to slave home until it was gone, you got to resort to us doing the exact same thing about black history in this country, that we're going to have to teach it in our homes. Because just like in slavery, you didn't want us talking about it in public. And you say you're not your ancestors, but you do the exact same fucking thing as your ancestors. I don't see how you can do the same thing and not be called the same thing. It's the hypocrisy in this damn country. We'll never get to a place where we care about one another if we're trying to hide one another's histories. Me knowing my history is not what makes me mad. What makes me mad is people like you trying to tell me my history don't matter. You want your kids to grow up thinking that these white great people were great for white people, so therefore they can feel like, oh my God, we're just such a great person. We conquered this and we did that and we helped all these people out. But you don't want to tell about the shit you had to do, which I don't believe you had to do, the shit that you did and chose to do. They don't want you knowing that truth. They don't want you knowing that. And the child, I thank you, is from Haiti. Thank you for finding that out, Alice, early. So this child will never know her history in Haiti. She'll grow up being black in America, not knowing that history either. So she'll be lost altogether. She'll just have dark skin but act like a white person. She'll say N with the hard ER because that's the way she heard it from mom and whoever is her fucking parents. Because the girl is, Jillian's gay, so the other woman that she's with. It's a damn shame. How hard is it to say these are the things that happened and we don't ever want them to happen again? Because it's deeper than just telling the truth for them. The lie is what they believe makes them powerful. That makes them like clean. But when you mention the truth, it dirties and soils up whiteness to them. Let me tell you something real quick, Jillian. You're not white. There's no such thing. She's out here trying to act like racism and shit doesn't exist and slavery wasn't a big deal. Then why do you call yourself white, ma'am, if you know the true history of what it is? There's no such thing as a white person. It was made up so that you could have slavery. You can create a racist system similar to the caste system of color, light and dark. So white and black at that time were made up. Black being used in Africa was not the same way it was used here. So this country separated us somewhere around the late 1690s or something like that. White Europeans got together and decided, we can't bring, any more people back into this country because everybody's heard about what we were doing in indentured servitude via the Irish getting out and telling everybody. So the Irish told all the other people in the country once they escaped from indentured servitude, went out and told, came back. Nobody wanted to come to the country. They was all going all over the country, sailing, asking people they want to come over here and get some land after 7 years. And people were coming in the first beginning. But once the Irish got away, a few of them, and told the other countries, nobody wanted to come. So they got the white European minds, or the European at the time, not white, the European minds together. Their brightest, they call it. Those bright people got together, all men, into a room. And it was like, what do we do? And they figured out we got to make what's already here on the New World, because it wasn't called the United States yet. In the New World, we had to make something happen because these people aren't coming. They thought everything was lost. And here it goes. At that time, you can teach your kid, your black kid, this. At the time, they thought of the African as the most civilized culture they brought to the New World. Why? Because they was teaching Europeans and others how to do simple shit. Which kills me how it's on switch where they sit here and talk about, oh, well, black people learned to trade. Fuck you. You don't know your history. Always trying to make yourself supreme when you were inferior from the very fucking beginning. You didn't know how to wash your ass. You're going to sit here and talk about you teaching people something to do when they taught you most of the shit. You were funky ass white people back in the day. And even today, most white people that I talk to, we talking about they take a bath every fucking 3 days or some shit, wash their hair every fucking week. Some of y'all still fucking dirty. It was black African people at the time. They weren't black. It was African people who taught you that shit. It was indigenous people who taught you that shit. Give them the fucking credit they deserve. I'm getting sick of people taking credit for what the fuck we've done. We have given you guys credit for what you've done. Your history has told all the truths about you. It's the lies that they've turned into some of their truths so they can still feel good. You ever wonder why in history, in American history, that we didn't talk, you don't hear shit really bad about white people? Even when they killed the Indians, they made it seem like it was something that was just, it just happened. Oh, we put some chicken pox, whatever, inside, the blanket. And then we just kind of took it over. That shit's whitewashed so much that people think of it as like, they just took the land. They needed it. Wash it right over like it's nothing. Not realizing that they came to people who welcomed them. Come on, let's have something to eat. Oh, you seem very nice and kind. Here's our feast. Let us walk you around the land and show you what we got going on here. And then they take out weapons and started killing them. How does that sound good for white people, European people back then? How the fuck that history is a good thing for white people? It's told in a way that kind of whitewashes it, makes it just smooth it over. Just put stuff in the blankets, and after they were gone, we started building this, and after it was gone was it. And then they start talking about the shit they built. No, look, we built this, we built that. That was just a blip. So much so, in Disney movies, it's entertainment to say, oh yeah, we killed them off. We killed them, and they made it a fucking like action film. Desensitizing the idea that somebody who showed you love and respect and kindness put you on a tour of their land and you stabbed, killed, maimed, raped, fed them poison while they lay working all day making a feast for these European fucks. Evil. Evil your ancestors were. And instead of admitting that and moving forward and becoming better, which many of you are, there is a large swath of you trying to erase that so that you don't feel as bad. You know how you don't feel bad? You don't become them. You recognize them for what they were. The actions they may have done. And even if they did do something good, the Constitution, that can be all within itself. Yeah, they did the Constitution. Thank you for that. Move on. You ain't got to make him into a hero because of it. Thank you. Because the way this country acts, if Jeffrey Dahmer had did something great, you people be sitting there talking about, oh, I know he killed and ate people, but, you know, he came up with the computer. He didn't. That's not the history. I just gave that as an example, dumbass people, if you thought that was real. So Jillian Michaels and all the little racist fucks out there like this, who say they aren't racist, got a black child or black friends. Learn history before you go out and try to teach people about it. PragerU is not a college. There's a reason why they don't have an accreditation for any kind of schooling. The way they're getting it is through racist white people wanting to feel good about themselves, allowing them into their school system. When they made up these cartoons, none of it factual, just a shade of truth and a few pounds of shit, and you fell for it. And the reason why, ask yourself, why did you fall, Jillian Michaels, for PragerU, Dennis Prager's bullshit? Because you saw a white face and it made you feel good about yourself that he wasn't telling you the truth. Deep in your heart, you know you're wrong. But you don't care because it doesn't make you feel good to know the truth. It makes you feel good to live in the lie. And ask yourself, how would you feel if whatever happened in the history of your family, you find your lineage, we just lied to you about it? You wouldn't like that. To find out your mom wasn't your mom, your grandfather wasn't whoever he was. You wouldn't like the fact of not knowing where you came from or being lied to about where you came from. But you have no problem doing that to your own child. Your feelings trump your child's feelings. I don't know about you, but when you have children and you love them unconditionally, their pains and their joys and their happiness becomes yours. The job is to make that child feel better, not you. You're supposed to take on their pain and try and heal it for them. You're not supposed to tell them that your pain trumps theirs. And just for the fact that you sat there and basically negated your own child's history, even though your child came from Haiti, still went through some slavery there, but a whole different other story. They fought and won some shit, so it was a whole different thing. But to even know her history and her proud history of what happened in Haiti back in those days, she won't even know that. She can't even be proud about her history because you probably still attach it to the history of America. You don't know the history. You got a dumbass lesson from PragerU, which isn't even a high school or college, no accreditation whatsoever. Just a white dude came up with a bunch of shit and called it PragerU to try and make it sound like it's intelligent. You read a bunch of dipshit crap and spewed it out national TV as if you know what the fuck you're talking about. No degree in it. I'm just white and I want to feel better, so I'll believe in the bullshit. Black people aren't asking for much. Just the fucking truth. How hard is that? Obviously, it's painful for you to take the truth. Read a different source of information as opposed to listening to PragerU. See, people going to PragerU, you're going there because you want to find something that makes you feel good when you read it about slavery. That you literally said to a black man on TV, like, what's the big deal about slavery? And the reason why you did that, because you watched that that cartoon that PragerU had where Christopher Columbus was sitting on a boat or some shit saying slavery, everybody was doing slavery back then. And a little kid asking little questions and shit. So, oh, slavery was, yeah, it was happening to everybody, so it wasn't like really that big of a deal. I mean, would you rather be a slave or die? Why don't you tell your child the true history? If slavery was so good, why did millions of black people jump off the ship to their death because they didn't want to come to it? Hmm? Don't know that, do you? These people kill me. They kill me on not knowing the history of our history. Right? And then try to tell us that it's not as bad. I don't understand how, and this is the thing, black people who get on these shows and you get in front of some shit like that. I don't know why black people didn't light her ass up right then and say, oh, okay, only 2% have slaves. How many of you guys ate black people? You got the percentages of that? You don't have to be a slave to take part in it, because a slave owner. Because, you know, when they were hanging slaves, you know, they got a lot of pictures out there of these black people hanging. And some of them burning, and some of them parts cut off and all that. They had little children there, tiny kids, sitting there watching it with a smile on their face. You gonna explain that to your child, or was that just a picnic? You gonna explain it to the kid? That wasn't that bad. Everybody was doing it. Really? So if all black people decided to go out and just take out white people, as long as we're just all doing it, there's no big deal. Is that what you're saying? We're all doing it, so it's no big deal. See how stupid it sounds? But to you, you've made dumbass sound like it's intelligent. Even abolitionists back in the day did nothing about it, but talk about it. There was one part of this country at the time, little colony called Vermont. Did you know this, Jillian, and white people who didn't know the history of this country? Did you know that you could have some kind of solace in telling if your family came from Vermont back in those days? While the Atlantic slave trade was strong, going on strong, Vermont was the only colony here that wouldn't take part in it. Those white people were good. They decided, no, we ain't doing it. So during the entire like the transatlantic slave trade, thank you, tongue. During that time, Vermont was the only one that was not taking part in it. You can say if your people came from Vermont, they were good. And on top of that, they was one of the first people to let black people start voting in that colony in Vermont. So yeah, they can claim something. The rest of you fucks can't. You saw an example in Vermont back in that time, and you chose to go into the transatlantic slave trade. And strong in the 1780s. Strong. One of the highest times of the year, the highest time of that time, around the 1780s, where slaves were just coming in all over the place. They was trading all over the place. And right, when they tell you that other countries took more slaves. Not all of those countries were chattel slavery. Total difference. America was strong on chattel slavery. Now, that wasn't an easy thing on either one of them, because some of them ended up killing off almost all their slaves. This country started breeding them like cattle and killing them. So much so, most of us don't even know our names, because they first of all took our names away from us and called us after our master's names. But what kills me is that there really is no record of how many black people were killed in the time of slavery. It's all a guesstimation. We know that 6 million Jews died during the Holocaust. And they make it seem like it was just a few 100,000 of us. How is that when over 1 million or so jumped off the ships? We don't even have a calculation of how many black people, African people at that time, before they were called black, died in the transatlantic slave trade and coming to America. They always want to compare us to every country. We're not the only ones who did it. I'm like, we know you guys were all in the slave trade, which means just because you only accepted so many, that doesn't mean you're not responsible for all of them. Because if you weren't in on it, this thing wouldn't have lived. You took part in it. You were in the club. So all are your responsibility. Even they never stepped on this soil. You helped fund this. You helped put it together. You're part of it. period. You want to add, oh, we didn't do exactly what they did, and you want to add them into it. But when we tell you, well, if you want to add them into it for that, then add them into the fact that the total number should be on your list too, because they didn't come here and have slavery, but they didn't come here and be slaves, but they were part of a slave system that you took part in, funded. Yeah. But no, you don't want to talk about that. You just want to use them to exonerate yourself. But when you use them, you take on what they did too. You can't just exclude yourself from one part and add yourself to the other. When it benefits you, add it. When it doesn't, subtract it. People, I say this not to make people feel bad, even though if you do feel bad, good. Because you got to look at what you feel like, then ask yourself what the average black person feel like that knows their history. Think about it. If you have pain learning about it, how do you think that black people know their family went through it? It's always about the pain that we care about of the people who were quote unquote the victors. The victor's pain is what we're worried about. Why are we caring about what you feel about what your ancestors did when we still live with what your ancestors did? You think it's over. It's not. To this day, black people who have like black names, they can't even get a job. Why? Because that person knows they're black. And they throw their resumes away or into another pile that they will not hire. Tell me how many of you guys named yourself as a baby? So why am I paying for whatever somebody named me? Why do you think when people come to this country, they pick the whitest name they could possibly get? People come from Asia and other countries, and all this. Latin America, they come in here and they got a name. What's your name? Margaret? Becky? Betty? Because they know with a white name, it opens the door for them. If people can come from other countries here knowing that the whiter they act, the more opportunity they'll get, then them coming here, they know racism is strong. And even they will deny it because they want to be as close as white people as possible. So gaslighting black people and saying that it isn't racism, it doesn't work. Only on the idiot black people. The Candace Owens, the Hodge twins, the Byron Donalds and all those. It don't work on us. Us with a modicum of respect of being black, it's not going to work on us. Being educated works on us. It's so crazy in this country. For the longest time, what do you think black people, or what drives them to be intellectual, to be smart in this country? What drives them to do that? Racism. The core is racism. Why? Because they've been told ever since they were babies they weren't worth shit. Their ancestors were told that they were stupid. Even though they knew a language that these white people who buckle, they didn't know what the fuck they were saying. Bubble? Oh, that's the shit they was talking about. They sound dumb as fuck in the South, but they were telling people who could speak one full ass language that they didn't know, and then was trying to learn another language, which they couldn't learn other languages. They was out there dating their own daughters and shit and cousins before they ended up getting enslaved people. So black people have always been told they're lesser than. So what do? Go out there and prove to people that they're better. Why do you think black people are brilliant? Every time you see a black person in a sport or they fucking excel beyond belief. Or if they're in math and they're really good at it, they're in computer science, they're really good at it, they excel beyond belief. Why? Because they have a driving force that's always telling them they're not good enough. Their parents may have told them, oh, you're great, but they've always told them, you got to work. What is it, black people? What do black people got to do just to get by in this country? And what do our parents would say we had to do to get ahead? Not just to get by, to get ahead. We got to work how many times as hard as a white person? The average white person? How hard we got to work just to even get in the door? Not to get management positions, just to get in the door. How hard? I'll look in the comment section. How hard we had to work just to get the minimum in this country. I don't think I grew up around white people from 6th grade on. I never heard a white parent tell their kid anything about how hard they had to work to get ahead of another white kid or to get ahead in life. Twice as hard. Mine was 10 times as hard. Some people in my family said 100 times as hard. And so when I went to school, getting A's came easy to me because of the work ethic that was put inside of me. But it didn't come with its struggle. It didn't come without struggles. I had white teachers saying some of the most egregious shit to me. Like, did I cheat? I'm like, with whom? Everybody in this bitch didn't get an A. I'm the only one. Who I cheat off of? You? I had white teachers look over my shoulder as I took a test. Didn't believe that I knew it. Thought I was taking something. Asking me to show me my wrist and arm like I wrote shit on my own body. And I'm like, I'm a straight A student and you still checking? As if I'm cheating on every test? Didn't want to believe that I came to an all-white school and was smarter than the most kids, the white kids in the room. So just did their best to kind of like make me seem like there's no way I can be that smart. Based off of what? Based off what? Sure as hell was my test scores. It was off my skin color. How many of you had to go through that? And I knew at that time my ancestors went through way more than what I had to go through. This isn't told to you so that you feel bad or sorry or guilty or whatever. It's told so you know the truth. It's told so that when you recognize it, you speak up and say no more of that shit. See, if you don't know these particular type of stories, when you see a white teacher standing over a black child and questioning that child, you automatically start to figure that kid must have did something. That's why they checking. But when you hear it come from me and then you see it this time, next time you see it, you be like, stop being over that child's shoulder. You recognize it, it changes. You don't, it's just the norm. That's what they want you to do. See racism as a norm so that you can get away with it. And anybody complaining, oh, there's something wrong with the complainer. That's what they want. That's what they have right now. And they get black people thinking, oh, you know, I don't want to play the victim mentality. I want to play the victim mentality. I want to know something. If you get hit by a car, black people, are you the victim or a victor? They got you so tripping over the victim mentality that they don't talk you out of being a victim when you're a fucking victim. You get hit by racism and you be like, I ain't no victim. Negro, you a victim of racism. What the fuck are you, a victor of racism? Got you all twisted up thinking like, oh, I don't play no victim. What? How is shit gonna change if you ignore when you're a victim? thinking you're a victor. How? Because you survived the N-word. I survived it. I'm a victor. You ain't no victor. You're a victim of it. And ain't nothing wrong with it, because once you realize you are, that's when you fight. When you don't realize you are, you just let the shit go. I'm getting tired of people who are white holding the narrative of what is right and wrong. How you gonna sit there and tell me what's right and wrong? How you gonna tell me what racism is? You ain't never had to deal with it. You think racism is somebody not liking you. You think racism is somebody not liking you because you're white. I wish it was just the fact that they didn't like me because I was black. It ain't because I'm just black. It's everything about me. It's a system. There's no system to hold white people back. You can call a white person all kind of names. They'll still be able to go get a job based off their merit or their race in some situations, get in the door, then based off whatever they can do. But you ain't getting no black person getting through the door with a name with Jamal or Shaquanda. They'll throw your resume to the side. And this country needs to know that's the truth. We ain't making this shit up. Why would we make that shit up? Do you think we love being in a situation where we're always questioned, we're always followed, we're always treated disrespectfully? Whenever there's confrontation, we're always the person who causes it because our voice is louder. How many of you white people, and this is a straight up truth to me in my life, how many white people, because I've never recognized it, but I'm going to ask you, when you raise your voice, how many people either call the cops or act like they call the boss and then they say stuff like, I'm scared for my life? So you got to walk on pins and needles when you're talking to certain types of white people. How many of you got to do that? Do you do that? Do you tell them, oh, he raised his voice at me, I'm scared? And it's like, I wasn't even talking to her. I'll give you an example, straight example in my life. Worked in the industry in LA, worked in the news. I worked for KCAL. It was on Paramount Lot, right? I'm in microwave and satellites. I'm working with all the trucks, the microwave and satellite trucks out in the field. The reporters be out there, and I'd be on the inside working the machinery. And also I was an engineer, okay? When we had downtime, our station had the Lakers. Like stations local has like, they have all the games, or at least majority of the games. So we had the Lakers this year. We had the Dodgers this year. One year we had the Dodgers and the Angels. We was killing it. We had all these different places, right? So me and my boy would always watch the basketball game. I'm black. My boy in the room was black and Latin. We always watched the Laker games. And so we couldn't like the same team. He was a diehard Laker fan. So I liked the other team so that we could be like kind of having fun and ribbing each other and having a good time. Okay? Me and my homie, we in the room. He's a coworker, but we became very cool, like brothers. So we talk shit to each other. So when like Shaq would dunk or something like that, I was like, man, he already under the rim. He ain't got to do nothing but tiptoe. It ain't even all that hard. And he'd be like, man, fuck you. And we'd be playing, going back and forth. Black people know this is ribbing, having a good time. All right? So we're having a good time, not knowing, we with each other, just having a good time, laughing, not mad at each other, laughing. Some white person said that they were afraid for their lives because these two black guys were in here fighting each other. And I was like, boss comes in while we sitting there talking crazy, giving each other high fives at one point. And we come in, we both look over, we're smiling, we look over and see the boss. I'm like, what's up? You need something? It's like, no, you guys, let me talk to you for a second. While the white person's over there looking and creeping, looking in the window, trying to see, don't want nobody to know it's her. And he's like, well, you guys got to keep your voices down. You're scaring people. You were going to fight or something like that. I said, dude, we ain't fighting. We talking about the game, dude. Just like at a sports bar. We just having a good time. What are you tripping off of? And he said, well, you can't keep it down, blah, blah, blah. I said, wow. So you know me, my behavior. I don't give a fuck about the job. It's my job. It's my only job. But I don't give a fuck about my job over my honor. I was like, I said, come here, boss. Let me talk for a second. Don't step outside the room yet. I gotta talk to you a question. You, the day before this was a hockey game. Okay. Same white dude. So we had a little ramp that would go down to our room. So this ramp, whenever you ran on it or walked fast on it, boom, 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 all the way to the room, right? Same white dude. Hockey game was on the day before. I think it was the Kings. We had them too. So this white girl, white dude, another white dude, so four, another white dude. They were all just having a great time. Somebody scored and they scored, and they running down, they screaming, they bumping chests, all that, yelling. The top of their fucking lungs, running down. This boss runs down, bumps chest with somebody. I got $5 on this, blah, 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 going nuts. Nuts. Way louder than us. Way more than us. It was just two of us. It's like 4 or 5 of them. Next day, he comes down and says this shit. So I said to him, I said, you watched the Kings yesterday, didn't you? He's like, yeah, it was a good game. I said, yeah. I said, did you realize that you ran down the stairs bumping and shit? We thought it was a fire. We turned around and look at it. It's like, what the hell's going on? And we saw y'all bumping chests, jumping at each other and all this shit like that, cussing, having a good old time. Did I complain about you doing what you just did? He goes, no. I said, so you don't find it to be kind of racist that you came to the black people for bumping their chest talking about a basketball game, but you and 4 other of the employees are down here jumping and bumping chests, and neither one of you had to lower your voice, but you got the black people lowering theirs? That didn't come through your brain before you walked your ass all the way down that hallway to come talk to us. Not once did it come through your brain to think that this is hella racist. We was just doing the same thing yesterday. It didn't come to your brain to be like, everybody's watching the Laker game right now. It's not just us two. In the newsroom, people were screaming. But you found time not to come talk to the white girl and say, what the fuck is going on? What are you talking about? Oh, they're just having a good game with the game. Girl, chill. None of that. You came straight to us and told us to change our behavior because somebody else had a problem with it. Not realizing that she was being racist and you was being a person who was taking racism to us. You didn't see that. So should I go to human resources right now, or should you just shut the fuck up and leave the room? And I said this to my boss. Why? Because you're not going to bring racism into my life and then tell me I'm supposed to ignore it. Fuck that. I don't give a fuck about a job more so than I give a fuck about my own respect. I was in my late 20s at that time, 26, 27, 28, something like that. I might have been, yeah. I didn't have children just yet, but yeah. Lit into his ass. He didn't expect it. But he got his little white ass out of my room, walked his ass back up the stairs and had that walk of shame, and I went back to screaming. Why? Because I'm not going to be a person who's being told to behave like a fucking field rat. I'm not him. I'm that dude who's going to step to you and tell you to fuck your feelings. That's me. There ain't amount of money, there ain't amount of whatever respect you think you deserve to disrespect me and expect me to fucking cower. It ain't going to happen. I'm going to light into your ass like I light into anybody else. And that's straight facts. So this Jillian people, these racists out here, I'm teaching and always will teach anybody cross my path, even if you're children, the straight facts. I ain't giving them no sugar-coated shit. What's the purpose of sugar-coating something? So that your feelings feel better? The people who went through it and their ancestors need to be celebrated for what they did, not hidden because you were the ones who did it. If anything, voices should get louder about the truth of history, not quieter. And them having these Oklahoma teachers, whatever, coming from New York and California, going through some kind of litmus test of how whitewashed is your education, literally says, we don't want you teaching that N-word shit here. And if you allow that, you're just as racist as they are. Because I'm getting tired of you hiding behind terms. You're saying the N-word. Woke is the N-word. All these terms are the N-word. And how will you know? Because every time they mention them, they're talking about somebody black or somebody of color. They're never talking about woke when they're talking about white people. That lets you know they're talking racist talk when they don't include themselves in it. And when they see white people speaking about good things for black people or Latin people or people of color, you might get that name too. But just know the reason you're getting it is because you're supporting black people or Latin people over some racist white bullshit. It's always been like that. And it's never going to change until people step the fuck up and stop accepting this crap that they're doing. They already got history whitewashed. TikTok and other apps have allowed us to get the truth out. And not only get it out, say, check my facts. Don't fucking believe me. Check my facts. They're the ones saying, believe my crap and my crap only. That's some cultish bullshit. I always say, check my facts so that we're all on the same plane and can trust each other's information. But if you don't want nobody double checking you, and if you ain't going to try and double check somebody, Jillian Michaels, that means you want to be lied to, and you want somebody of value to give you a reason to be able to lie. Like these people love Trump because he gives them some type of value, gives them permission slip, this hall monitor slip. Here, you can be racist while I'm president. You can be sexist, xenophobic while I'm president. While everybody in society is holding you accountable as Karen or Ken or whatever they call your names, and getting you fired because you don't got your chest all stuck out thinking that the head racist in chief has given you permission to be a piece of shit human. You've been seeing what's happening. Some of these white people coming out here talking this shit, getting their ass knocked the fuck out by black people. I'm telling you, we ain't taking it. We ain't taking it no more. None of it. You ain't gonna lie on my ancestors, and you ain't gonna step to me and think you're gonna touch me and not get knocked the fuck out. So keep testing black people and people of color. Keep testing them. See what happens to you. And I'm going to keep telling history the way it is, not the way they want it to be or rewrite it to be. That's point blank, period. Now, we got that off my chest. We'll get to this PragerU. Just so you can understand, I didn't make this shit up. I told you guys a while back ago, I made this video. And this is me doing straight facts, no chaser, fuck your feelings, back in the day. A few years back, last year, maybe a year and a half ago, whatever it was. So I'm not making this shit up now. I did a history on this shit a long time ago. And I've talked about this more than once. I've done the history lessons. I've taught for years. But I'm going to show you a video from back then that I did. It's probably on my old account where it got stolen. But anyway, this is it right here. It's about 8-9 minutes long. But I put it out there because, hey, facts are facts. You're going to see twins up here in a second. That dude don't change shirts.
Straight facts, no chaser. I'm about to expose the person who actually is fucking with African American history. It's a guy named Dennis Prager, conservative talk show host, owns PragerU. Behind the scenes, they're funded and well funded. And it's about time we expose the leader. He's a dropout, somebody who really isn't an intellectual. And as you'll see in this video, he's jealous of smart people. Let's get it.
So I deal with the lies and give you some truths that in many cases blow people's minds. They just can't believe it.
You know why they can't, nor should they ever believe in a word you say, Dennis Prager? It's because
you sit on a throne of lies.
How many black Africans were kidnapped and transported, I might add, in those hell ships to America, including America before it became the United States? The whole time that whites have lived in America. How many Africans were imported as slaves into the United States? both pre-United States and post-United States. I wish I could get instantaneous responses from callers.
Be careful what you ask for, because I knew the answer right when you actually posed it, when I saw this video. And I have a credible source, actually two. Here's one, and it's also from Henry Gates Jr., who says it as well. What are your sources? Let's hear what he has to say. I guarantee you he doesn't have a source.
I don't believe you would get an answer under 1 million from more than 10% of the students. I would be shocked if you got it from 10% of the students, a number under 1 million. I had always quoted 320,000.
Wrong. Try again.
Actually, the best number that they have come up with is 305,326. In all of American history, including pre-1776, the number of Africans that were imported into the United States is 305,326.
So, Mr. Prager, where'd you get your facts from? Colonizers or us.org? Carry on.
Now, how many slaves were brought into Latin America by other countries during the same period that 305,000 were brought into the United States? How many do you think?
This is where he gaslights people to set them up for failure due to his terrible research.
3 million, 2 million, 5 million, 6, 7, 8, 9 million, 10 million, 11 million.
You find slavery funny, you racist prick? It would be a colonizer turning slavery into the Price is Right. It's not a fucking game, dipshit.
12.5 million. You know how many times that is? Well, that's 40 times the number of slaves. 40 were brought into other countries in the Western Hemisphere. That's the hemisphere we live in case you went to college and didn't learn it. In other words, I don't think that most college students know anything. They know preferred pronouns.
I bet most of those college kids graduated from college that ranks higher than yours, Mr. Brooklyn College, number 871. Hell, I went to Ball State, 241. Carry on.
Every civilization throughout history had slaves. Asian societies, Africans, Native Americans, and other indigenous peoples around the world, and the Muslim Arab world, which may have had the most slaves of all. There was only one thing unique about slavery in the West. It raised the issue of the morality of slavery, ferociously debated it, and finally abolished it there, before it was abolished by any other civilization.
You sit on a throne of lies.
This is all lies. Vermont, not America, was the first state republic of its own in the United States in 1777 that ended slavery. They even made it possible for black people to vote at that time. The remaining part of America did not free slaves until 1865. Now, if he was talking about the slave trade, America abolished that in 1808 after the British abolished it in 1807. So we weren't the first in that. As a country, slavery was abolished in Spain in 1811, Danish West Indies, 1846, France, 1848, Portugal, 1858, Netherlands, the Dutch Caribbean colonies, 1861. All before America did it in 1865. So we weren't the first in that either. So what are you talking about, Dennis, about we being the first? If you're talking about Vermont, that wasn't the United States. That was a colony within the United States and the only one of its kind. The rest of them were in the slave trade, full in effect. They didn't stop the slave trade until 1808, and they weren't the first to do it. That would have been Britain. So where's the first at for America and these white people who got together and was just so noble? In this whole clip, you won't find one source from this motherfucker. It's them, they, this person said, that person said. He's lied throughout the video. Why trust him? Carry on.
If you care about moral truth rather than, for example, promoting America hatred, you must recognize and you must teach that America was one of the first slave-holding societies to abolish slavery. This even includes Africa. Cornell professor Sandra Green, a black scholar of African history, notes, quote, slavery in the United States ended in 1865, but in West Africa it was not legally ended until 1875. And then...
All right. Before we go on with that, I want you to read that. Pause. It says read the rest of it. Dennis Prager is taking it out of context. She's saying they did the same thing as America. She's not saying that America did something like spectacularly better than anybody. He took her shit out of context to try and validate himself. Put a black woman up there to say, "Oh, she agrees with me." That's what these racist white people do. Put up a black person that agrees with them, that they think agrees with them, or that they can shade that makes it sound like that, and cut her off from what she really meant. But that's not what she meant, 100%. But let's keep going.
It stretched on unofficially until almost World War I.
This is pure bullshit. Slavery ended in America in 1865. Not on June 19th, but on December 6, 1865. And there are many who talk about them being in the South and not really being in a political atmosphere or around a lot of people, that slavery even extended longer for them. You can find those stories sprouted throughout the United States all over the internet. Anyway, after slavery, it stretched unofficially from 1865 to 1964, where they passed the Civil Rights Act. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act. So slavery ended 1865 officially, but unofficially it kept going until 1965. And many black people will tell you it wasn't like it passed in 64 and boom, all white people stopped acting racist. No, it really stretched on to like 1975 when most black people saying they started to feel the effects of Jim Crow being over. So Dennis Prager, so let me get this straight. West Africa ended slavery in 1875. 10 years after we did. Unofficially, it went to 1914 for West Africa. Some 39 years later, it was finally abolished and they started to feel the effects of it, the people who were enslaved in West Africa. In America, we ended slavery 10 years prior, and it literally took us 100 years to 1965. And some people didn't feel the effects until 1975. So 110 years compared to 40 years, and you want to sit here and act like that's a flex for white people in America. Go fuck yourself. Carry on.
In other words, the whites of the United States abolished slavery before the blacks of Africa, or at least West Africa, abolished slavery of other Africans.
So instead of saying that slavery was bad all around, and we need to reconcile this, you want to have slavery Olympics, and you want to be awarded the gold for racist white men doing something they should have never done, but you want an award because you ended it in your mind first. And there ain't nothing America did first on slavery except for Vermont. You can't claim Vermont because the America that we live in didn't follow Vermont. Didn't even give Vermont the time of day because they continued with the slave trade fervently. They didn't hit their peak until 1780s, and Vermont did that in 1777. And you didn't end the actual Slave Trade Act until 1808. 1777, 23 years to be 18. So 31 years later, you want to act like America did something first. Why don't you try this? Why don't you own up to it, pay for it, and let us move on together and get over it instead of trying to hide it and lie about it? Because ignoring it, revising it, pisses us off more. Yeah, not the flex you thought it'd be. Carry on.
Now, how many students at Harvard know that? I know the answer, and you know the answer. 0. I have a better one. How many professors at Harvard know that? I would say the answer is extremely close to 0.
This guy, Donald Trump, all of them, they have issues with higher education. The reason why is because they are never accepted into them. They think they're smart, but their grades don't prove it. The money they want to put into it, those colleges wouldn't accept it. So no matter how rich Donald Trump was, and here's the thing, newsflash, Donald Trump's family was not as rich as the people who could get their kids into Harvard. They were not that rich. They had another group of rich people. They were like the poor rich. Go look it up. Donald Trump's friends that he was trying to get connection with, they were way richer than Donald Trump's dad. Donald Trump was at the lower end of the echelon of people they wanted to hang out with. So they were like the poor rich. The ones who had to work for it. These others that they was hanging out with, they were already rich. Family's been rich for years. Yeah. So they want to get into these colleges that Chip and Barbie got into. Just because their family, paid for a whole wing of the college. Oh, yes, my kid's going to Harvard ever since it was a sperm cell. And this dude is sitting here talking about, I can't stand Harvard. I can't stand Harvard. Why? Because you little dipshits couldn't get in. You wanted to go so bad, but you weren't accepted. So now you're trying to act like Harvard's the dumbass class. Nope. They accept the smart kids. That's why when you graduate from Harvard, you got a free ticket to pretty much go anywhere. That's why you can get into law firms. They only pick them from Harvard and Princeton and Yale. They don't pick them from, what I went to, Ball State, and what this dipshit went to. They don't pick them from there. Not unless you're just extraordinarily a genius and want to just stay close to home going to college. But very rare. So even I know higher education, higher learning is something to look up to. People who worked their ass off to get there, had straight A's and didn't go out and party and sacrifice. That's where you give respect where respect is due. These dipshits didn't work hard and expected it to happen because they were just white and family may have had some money. I think this dude was broke, I'm not sure. But they think they should deserve it. And so they sit around and diss our higher education. Well, if it wasn't for our higher education, no other country would be coming to this bitch. And we wouldn't have the smart people from other countries building shit that helps our economy. These people don't respect anybody but themselves. They want to win at all times, no matter what, even when they don't deserve it. This participation trophy shit has been going on for a long, long time, especially in the white community. These dudes think they participate in whiteness, they're supposed to get everything they fucking want. And when they don't get it, they turn evil and start going crazy. This dude created an entire university, fake university, because he's still butthurt that he could not get in it. How old is this dumbass? You still pissed off at Harvard for not letting you in? And your ass is like, how old? Come on. Donald Trump's 79 years old, still pissed off that he couldn't get into Harvard and Yale, and a black man by the name of Barack Hussein Obama got in. They don't talk about merit. They want to get shit because they're white, because they think whiteness gives them merit. If you don't believe that, look at who Donald Trump is, and he's the president, and look who he puts around him. All of them, these men and some of these women, plain dipshits. The only thing they got in common with knowledge at all, well, they ain't got nothing in common with knowledge. Only thing they got in common with their jobs is they're white men and women doing positions they're not qualified for, while at the same time projecting that they're the party of merit. Master, grifters and projectionists. Anyway.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's zero. Part of the left's mission is to make you ignorant, and they've succeeded.
Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
In summation, this is a pathetic loser who is doing everything within his power to be revered by re-engineering idiocy as intellect. But intellectuals recognize idiots a mile away. This man wouldn't know the truth if it bit him in a sensitive area. In fact, this is my fervent belief about Mr. Dennis Prager.
You can't handle the truth.
I speak facts, straight facts, no chaser. Fuck your feelings.
All right. So I made that a while back ago. I don't have the exact date, but a while back ago I made that when Candace Owens and that cartoon came out, when they was trying to push people to go to that PragerU and all that crap. I made it then. This man spreads nothing but lies and hate. And again, if you want to deal with the truth, why not deal with it? It's just simple just to deal with the truth. Instead of trying to whitewash it, why whitewash it? I mean, what he had to say, again, how much energy you have to wake up every day. Well, not even energy. How much hate you got to have in your heart to wake up every day and just make up lies? You know they're lies. You have turned your lives into reality just so that you can get by. I mean, there's got to be some kind of mental defect that you can't get over losing so much that you create a whole world around you winning because you built some place that you can't lose. You just throw out shit and you want to win, but it doesn't even stand the test of anybody. There's no historian, they can look at anything he said and say that shit's factual. And even if it is to some degree, it's contextually false. It's like, oh, well, there was 3% or whatever. Well, you're talking about 3% in a certain part of the country, right? In the South at the time, that's what you're talking about. But slavery was throughout the United States, but you're talking about when it was only the South. Well, that's only a few 100,000, yeah. But what has that got to do with anything? If you got 2% of them owning slaves, and then what? The rest of the white people did nothing but just say, in slavery? They were against it? No. Those same people who didn't have slaves, what would they tell you? I couldn't afford them. So they weren't against slavery. They didn't have money to buy them. They weren't out there trying to say free the slaves. No, they could not afford them. It is crazy to me how people try to snake out of their history by saying, my family didn't have them. Was your family rich? Nope. Shut up. You couldn't afford one. But ask your family this. When you walk past one, did you call them the N-word? That's about all of your families. Go back and look at the ancestry. About all white people were calling black people the N-word. We were a subclass. We were considered animals. They would pay you to go find us and snatch us and bring us back to a plantation. Even if we hadn't ran away and we was out trying to get something, they say, hey, I'm going to need you to go down and work at Mr. Anderson's field today. I'm like, okay, go down to Anderson field. Then Anderson hold you over. Well, I'm supposed to be back at Mr. Johnson's place in 3 shakes of a lamb's tail, and it's dark, right? Well, I'll drive you over. I need you to do this, that, and the third. Well, we're going to say no to the other master. He going to beat your ass. So you go there. Then next thing you know, we need to find him. He done ran away. Who they send? Other white people who didn't own slaves. You're going to talk about the 2% who owned them, but not about the 98%, the rest of them, that still will call them an N-word and hang them and attend a hanging party. These people, man, they're always trying to escape responsibility, escape accountability. And it's like, dude, just take responsibility for your ancestors and say, you know what? It should have never happened to you. I'm sorry that it did happen to you. And there's nothing that we can do, but we need to give y'all reparations. The ones who were descendants of slaves, we got to. I mean, we gave it to everybody else. Why didn't we give it to you? Because we hate you. Because you can't say that you love us and not give what our ancestors was owed. Our ancestors was owed 40 acres and a mule. We would have better lives. A lot of us would have had a better history had that stayed into place. But racism took that away. And then from there, created the Jim Crow laws so that we can go back into slavery for just sleeping on the street because we had nowhere else to live, because we got let off a plantation and we didn't know how to take care of ourselves because we didn't have chickens. We didn't have a farm. And we didn't have a vehicle to get us anywhere. We literally didn't have a horse or nothing. We had to walk, and when it got dark, fall asleep. As soon as you fell asleep, snatch your ass and take you back to jail, and then you're working back on the plantation. The evils that they did, and these people, the Jillian Michaels of the world, are trying to get people to say, stop saying that we're bad because we're white. Well, you take responsibility for what whiteness is. You're not white. You guys aren't white. You're either Italian, your ancestry, you are this, that, and the third. You're not white. That white part is all that system, that racist system. You are literally of your ancestors, whether they were Italian, whether they were Jewish, whether they were Irish, European. That's what you are. That's where you come from. This white shit was made up just so we can separate each other. And there'd be a class of people up here and a class of people down here based on color only. So just talking about blaming the white people, yeah, it was white people who did it to us. They created the system. They'll even get to the point and say, well, there's black people who own slaves too. in America. I'm like, you know what? Ask yourself, how did they even start it? Do you think those black people started slavery, enslaving people? Or was that the way that you got people to work for you in the South? Native Americans and indigenous people had enslaved people too, but they walked around freely on the land, and they were basically like indentured servants for the most part. There were some tribes, very few, that were just as hateful as the white people were, but there was a lot of them that weren't. They were like family, not the same the way white people did it. When they talk about slavery in other countries, it wasn't chattel slavery. Go look up chattel. Chattel was one of the most, if not the most, egregious slavery ever to be done on the planet. There was slavery, slavery was called indentured servitude in other countries. That's what this country started out as and got worse into actual enslavement. Indentured servitude, which they called slavery in other countries, that ain't shit. It's horrible, but it ain't shit compared to slavery, chattel slavery. You know, indentured servitude, which they call slavery, you still had your own property. You just had to go work on somebody's land when you woke up. And you went to somebody's land, you worked on it, and that's the only land that you worked on. You didn't work on nobody else's property. You worked on Mr. whatever, his name. I ain't going to be bringing up names because I don't know any, but you worked on this person's land. And that was it. You helped them do it, but you took your ass home. You didn't have nobody dragging you by horses. You weren't quartered by horses. They didn't cut your wives' bellies open. They didn't rape your children and your wife in front of you. They didn't, cut you up. They didn't have a picnic hanging you. That shit was not in these other countries like that. The countries that had chattel slavery, yes, but the ones that we had chattel slavery, that's it. We had no other form of slavery. At the very beginning, we had indentured servitude. Then that shit broke down into enslavement, and that was chattel slavery. Go learn the differences between just the regular indentured servitude, which they call slavery in other countries, and chattel slavery. Then you'll start to see that there is a huge, huge difference between the two. And conflating the two, which PragerU, Jillian Michaels, and white people who want to feel good about themselves and their ancestry, they'll give you that version. Try to make you say, oh, your ancestors did it. Why ain't you mad at them? I said, because I don't know them for one. And first of all, they didn't go through chattel slavery like you guys want to paint it. So either going to deal with the full truth of America. We don't have to go outside of America because, again, we live in America. I'm not trying to say they did it and they did it. Who cares about, like I said, I'm not even dealing with slavery or enslavement Olympics. This country is dealing with its issues. You can't just say other countries did it, so that negates what we did. No, It doesn't work like that. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Again, let's say that we had a revolt and we unalived all the white people in a certain area. And then we say, you know what? We could do it to every other country. I mean, they did it. We should be able to do it too. I mean, why are you tripping? Like, what? You're going to say I should give you permission to unalive all white people just because you did it in Chicago? You can do it in... Man, shut up. That is not a thing. And then I'm like, you can't be mad at me. They did it in Chicago. We can't do it. What? They don't make any sense. It's stupid. To sit there and act like another country did it so it negates you from your... Both y'all fucked up. They don't cancel each other out. It says y'all both had fucked up minds. You don't get to like say, oh, if we all did it, then it doesn't matter. No, man, shut this shit down. Shut it down. Stop it. Trying to do that is ridiculous. This is my lesson today on history and how people of all races, you have to stop letting people lie to you about your history. No matter where you come from, learn your history because you don't want to repeat whatever bad happened to your country. You never hear people to tell Jewish people to stop learning their history. You don't see them going to a Jewish museum and saying, we got to take everything you said about the Germans and Hitler down. Hitler wasn't really that bad. You notice, though, Jewish people, pay attention. If they're doing it to us, you next. Because you have seen some of these white nationalists be sympathetic to Hitler. And you've seen Elon Musk throw up that little HH sign at his speech, inauguration, whatever, when inauguration day, the day before, whatever it was, he threw up that little hand from Hitler, the Heil Hitler, he threw it up. Don't think you ain't on the chopping block. Don't get caught up in your racism and being happy he's doing it to somebody else, because you next. You next. Every last culture that's not what they consider white, you're next. He's only looking out for his own and anybody that kisses his ass. And then after that, if you kissing his ass and if everybody kissing his ass, then he's after the ones he just don't like. Don't get it twisted. Don't act like you in the free and you're in the clear. You're not. I'm going to talk about one other thing that's in the news, and that is the Fox Discovery text from Smartmatic. Fox got caught in this $2.7 billion lawsuit, which hasn't finished yet. I thought it had, but it hasn't. I just read it today. But in this disclosure, I told you that Janine Pirro was a piece of shit person. Oh, it ain't even, I didn't even touch the surface of it. She's beyond worse a piece of shit. She like the entire intestinal system. She produces her own shit. I mean, it's just ridiculous. This woman literally wrote that she had done all this stuff for Donald Trump during his campaign. She wanted him to exonerate her husband, her ex-husband. And Trump didn't do it the first time. She went the fuck off. Talking about, I did this for you, I did that for you, blah, blah, blah. And then then all of a sudden Trump, I guess, heard through the grapevine some way. Then he did actually exonerate her husband and gave him a pardon or whatever. I think he was already out, so I guess he exonerated him. I'm sitting there like, she lied and she said that in text and everything behind the scenes. I love disclosures. Turns out Jesse Waters too. He knew he was lying. He even said, just think about what our ratings would be like if we literally started championing this Stop the Steal, which was a complete and utter lie created by Roger Stone and Donald Trump. But if we back it, knowing that it's not true, if we back it, just think of what our ratings would be like. Destroying democracy, he was thinking about the ratings of his show. There were others there. I think it's Brett Baird or something like that. That dude said something to the effect of, I couldn't understand his whole thing, but it sounded like he was like not necessarily upset, but he didn't know what was going on with the elections, stuff like that. I guess I couldn't figure out whether he was for it or against it the way he said it, but he was in the Discovery as well. But they got all their texts. I'm trying to find as many as I can. I only got like 3 or 4. But Brett Baer, I couldn't figure out his completely, but he's in there. But they are devious over there. They knew they were lying for Donald Trump. They wanted ratings and they wanted to get close to power. These people are traitors to America. They literally and actively work to destroy democracy. And you got to look at it. There are at least in his 2 terms, I'm saying there's at least 15 Fox News anchors or correspondents or whatever it may be that have been in his White House. Because they just out and out lied with no remorse at all that they was fucking up people's lives. They lied about everything. And It's in text back and forth. And this is not the first time. Under the first what was it called? The first one they had, I forgot the name of the company that they said, and they won like 708, or they lost $787 million to that particular company. That had disclosure, and that too brought out some of these texts that these people lied and knew, especially Tucker Carlson and all of them. They knew they were lying. 100% they believed Donald Trump, even Tucker Carlson. He said, I hate him. Can't wait till we get over this dude. All this basically lying for him. It's too much. And there's on camera, there's somebody totally different, dude. These people are traitors to our country. Hell, Tucker Carlson went over to like Russia and started acting like Russia's better than America. Went shopping at a grocery store, talking about, look, we can get this for cheaper and this, that, and the other. I'm like, nobody trying to go to Russia, fool. Please go and stay. Please. Hell, we as a government, as a people, if you guys want to go to Russia, we will pay for you to get the fuck out. How about that? Smartmatic, yeah. Smartmatic was the one that was. Smartmatic is the one that was 2 point something billion, 5 billion. There was another one before that, the one that they won, they already paid. It was like $1 billion. They ended up getting 7.8 or 787 billion, something like that. But there was two of them that they sued. And I think the one that's still going on is Smartmatic. But both of them had discovery. Thank you, Alice Early. I had to get that lesson today because, Jillian Michaels and a lot of these people, I've been seeing her comments just driving me nuts, trying to tell them they're doubling and tripling down on stupid shit. And I'm like, all you had to do is research. Why are you in the comments section? People are giving them information and they're just ignoring it. I'm like, these people are telling you the truth. They don't want to have no parts of it. And I'm like, read a book about history from a historian. Dennis Prager is not a historian. He don't know what he's talking about. He is a person that's figured out he can make money by making white people feel good about history and hiding and rewriting history of black people. And the Heritage Foundation is paying him as well. I say the Democrats or independents, the people who are good people, we need to have industries that literally are fighting for the truth, fighting for real solutions and not hiding shit. Get it all off our chest so therefore we can actually be our absolute best in this country, caring for each other. If you're willing to hide history, what else are you willing to do? Because if you're not trying to give out the truth, you're trying to lie to people. You know what I feel about liars. I can't stand you. I deplore you, because there's nothing in life that can come of it that's good by lying to somebody and not allowing them to become their absolute best. You're lying to them to harm them and to lift yourself. And I find that to be highly pathetic and evil. And I will never do it. I'm not going to lift myself off the backs of somebody else other than my ancestors or those who give me their wisdom and allow me to climb onto their shoulders and be a better man than they were, or at least be as good as they were with the knowledge, and therefore pass it forward so that the people in front of me have my knowledge so that they can start where I left off and not where I began. That's the type of things we should be doing for each other. You feel me? All right. Money is ruling Fox News, Alice Early, and it keeps showing itself over and over and over and over again. I don't know why these people don't look at these texts and be like, ooh, these people are just fucking us over left and right. They're just not doing it. And I don't know what to do about it, but it is what it is. I will be focusing on a solution show, but that's a hard one. You can't really solve that. That's that easy, but we can always throw things out there and become unified on some of these things. But it's just tough when people aren't trying to learn the truth and you have to deal with alternative facts and just outright lies, which that's what alternative facts are, because there's no such thing. But and so you gotta fight uphill, because they've gone to the point where their feelings about history replaces the actual facts. And without facts, and these people who are funded well, it's hard for us to keep these facts in people's ears. PragerU has been funded by millions of dollars to put out these whack-ass commercials and make these commercials that are not only just commercials, but websites and videos, and they're in schools in Oklahoma and all this other crap. Parents, you should be doing your absolute best that nothing in your school says PragerU. That you have, you should not have your kid in that school. Take your kids out of that school if they are teaching them PragerU, because the moment they teach your kid that, he or she is not going to learn the history of this country. They're going to learn the history of some racist white dude who's Jewish, who pretends like, he's better than who he is, and that, is butthurt about not being able to attend or get into Harvard because he lacks the ability to do so. And I'm like, I couldn't get in, and I just respect the fact that I just didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have what it took to go to that. And I appreciate people. That's the thing about this, what kills me, is that you got little people, and specifically these racist white men. They're so little that they just can't accept that something about them is wrong, and therefore they deserve to go. And you just can't look at the fact that you just don't deserve it. You're not that level. You're down here, and they're up here intellectually. Instead of climbing up there, you got to create a resource that kind of makes you feel like you're smart, so you can outrun ignorance. But I got to tell you, you're not outrunning it. You're just getting more people to start paying attention to your ignorance. And because they can't get into Harvard, I could probably get into dipshit PragerU. And don't believe, black men and women, that he's not reaching black kids. He is. When those videos were out, the hardest thing for me to see, and I got into the comment section of these videos of these black kids were all sitting around listening to these damn cartoons. And this was this test dummy shit that PragerU was doing, giving them to black kids and paying them to come watch this shit and recording them like, I didn't know this and I didn't know that. It's because it was a lie. And I get into the comment section, be like, this isn't true. Black men, young men, don't listen to this bullshit. None of it's true. I don't know if I touched any of them, but we all have to be active. If these PragerUs are in your schools, go tell them you do not want your kid taught anything from PragerU. And if that's all you got, I got to bounce. Because I was you. You don't want your kids learning something that, especially if your child is black, learning something that doesn't respect what their ancestors went through. It's painful for everybody knowing these truths. But if you have that pain and you don't feel comfortable, that's when you're going to not do it again. But when you start to make it seem like it was nothing, like PragerU, like Jillian Michaels, like the rest of these clowns, then you desensitize white people and make them feel like, it was something that had to be done. So if white people want to do it again, hey, it was just something that had to be done. No hard feelings, right? Just saying. That's how they roll. These racist pricks. That's how they roll. They try to get their own people to think like, it's no big deal. I mean, come on. They got food. They got clothes. You know what I'm saying? They got a wife. They got a house over their head, While the master got rich as fuck, the community in which they lived in, they giving loans to people buying homes and helping people buy soil and farming their own lands and helping them out, giving them loans like a Little House on the Prairie and shit, where they can bring a chicken and the doctor help you. They was bringing money and stuff like that they were getting paid on these plantations, while black people were working for free. Those white men on horses and guns watching over, the overseers of us, they were collecting a check. They didn't own any of us. They collected a check. Those people who were preparing our foods, if it wasn't us preparing food, but the ones that prepared, they were collecting checks. Some of them depends on what they had, whether they had white people cooking for them or not. If they had a maid staff that was part white, part black, the black people weren't getting paid shit. They were doing it for free. The white people were getting paid. Can't say you didn't take part in something that you didn't really help end. And that's another thing before I go. Another lie is they'll tell you over and over again that white people, like this dude did, are the ones who helped stop slavery in this country. And that those are good things. They're trying to find something good that white people did. I want you to understand something. Slavery didn't end because white people wanted it to end. In the North, the white people wasn't talking about ending slavery. In the South, they weren't talking about ending slavery. What they were talking about is economics. Yeah. See, the North realized that the South was becoming wealthier. And because they were becoming wealthier, reason why is because the North has set a lot of the enslaved people free for the most part. And they were paying them because of industrialization. They started building factories and stuff like that. They pay them a little bit of nothing, but they got paid. They had their own homes. They did their own things, stuff like that. So they were free, but they were still making slave wages. You know, like not real slave wages, but you know how we say slave labor really isn't. But they were getting paid very low. Not like their white counterparts doing the same job as their white people getting paid less. Kind of like what they're still going on today. So that's what was going on in the North. In the South, they had free labor still, just getting richer, richer, and richer off of cotton and other, textile stuff and farming and peanuts and everything else. They was making hand over fist. They didn't have to pay for labor. So the North was like, yo, you're going to have to come up off of some of that. No, y'all getting too strong. And the South said, fuck y'all. We ain't giving you shit. And it's like, wait a minute. I'm president of this damn country. I'm the head. You know, I ain't talking to you as I'm talking to you like a friend. I'm making demands, bitch. And then South said, and demand on. We gonna fight for ours because we have a right to do what we want in our state. That's what they meant by states' rights. That it was a right for them to own slaves, and the government was going to tell them that they couldn't have them just because they got a financial problem. That sounds like a you problem to me, said the South. It sound like a personal problem. You need to fix that because we good down here. And so they gathered themselves together in the North and in the South, and the battle began. White men were fighting like crazy. Not for black people, for economics, because black people were working for free. Throwing off the balance of the economics, making the South richer than the North. And the North, like, I be damned I'm going to have these backward ass cousin fucking people ahead of us. We have brains. These dipshits, they don't even know how to speak English. No, sir. So they fought back and forth, back and forth. Weird part about it is the North was having some struggles. It's like with any war. They were running out of, steam. Men were dying like crazy. They were trying to rethink strategies. Then Abraham Lincoln came up with an idea with a bunch of people, but he came with an idea. What if we got black people, the slaves, to fight with us? And if they fought with us, they can get their freedom. Not in America, though. Right? They wanted to send us off to a country in Africa that they had, they had stolen as well, so to some degree. Right? So they wanted to send us over to Africa instead of the United States. So they get the little posse together and they invite Frederick Douglass. Yes, that Frederick Douglass, along with the abolitionist white men on his team, decided to invite him, great orator, because everybody at that time was looking up to this man who couldn't read and got taught how to read by tricking little white kids to teach him how to read. And then all of a sudden he becomes a great orator and he's touring all over the place, and abolitionists were listening to him and just eating this shit up and inviting him all over the place. And here he is, the first before Martin Luther King, before him. You know what I'm saying? Did that same stuff, going around telling everybody what's going on, just having enlightened speeches. Frederick Douglass ended up doing, going to the White House, or with the White House, now going to where, having this meeting with Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass going to the meeting with Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln tells him, we'll let you free in this African country. Frederick Douglass said, nope, ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We're not going to get our men to go fight so that we go to another country and start over. After we don't die, blood, sweat, and tears here, we're going to have to pack up our families when we get back and move to another country. We're not going to die here and fight here and have to leave the country when we're done. What are we fighting for? So Frederick Douglass and his abolitionists, he got up and said, we out. They bounced. Abraham Lincoln's like, I can't believe these Negroes decided to say no to me. What the hell? And they held strong on that no. So much so that Abraham Lincoln realized his army was still almost in a possibility of losing. They couldn't lose, but they didn't have as much money as the South did. So the North was scared. They was about to lose this battle. So Abraham Lincoln decided, let's invite him back. Frederick Douglass and the group of abolitionists invited him back. They get back, and he said, all right, you guys can be free in America. Frederick Douglass says, bet. And they bounced. I'm using terminologies of today, but close to today. And they bounced and went and told the black people. They were like, wait a minute. Let me tell you. Hold on. Holler at me for a second. These racist ass white fucks are going to give us guns. How they know we ain't going to shoot them? They don't. They just want us to, fight the war, and we're done. We win it. We're free. So if I go out there and kill me some white people for free, I get to come home for free. You mean I could put lead in the ass, heart, mind, and brain of white folks who have enslaved me? I can go shoot Master Johnson right the fuck now. Is that what you're telling me? With bullets and shit. And just bang, bang. I can do that to him right the fuck now. Yeah, you can. Oh, wow. Sign me up. And what did they do? They went, got put up in the army, had the gear and everything, got the weapons and everything. Had to watch their backs, though, because the white people they was fighting with, some of them was even trying to kill these black people because they didn't like them. That's why it trips me out when people start talking about white people died for black people. Fuck you. They did not. They died for money. Black people fought so these white people didn't lose. So if you want to know who helped win the Civil War, it was black soldiers. Fuck you. Go look at history. Your men were dying ahead of time. It had nothing to do with you trying to save us. It had everything to do with you trying to save the money that the North was not getting because they were trying to extortion the fuck out of the South because they were free cash. They were mad at the South for having money, not black people as slaves or enslaved people. So don't get it twisted. Always trying to turn the white people into something good when they were evil back then. They did not fight for our freedom. They were not fighting for us. They were fighting for themselves. It was us that fought for us. So who got our freedom? Frederick Douglass in this country and black men who went and fought. They got us our freedom. The negotiation of Frederick Douglass is often overlooked because had he just been like the Byron Donalds or the Candace Owens of America, yeah, we would be in another country, an African country, being treated a whole lot differently and worse, I may add. I met someone who actually went to that other country and they grew up in that country, but their parents went through hell. grandparents went through hell because of the fact that they came into that country and that country treated them like they were Americans and not just black. So they got treated horribly, many of them. They'll tell you the history of their families. And the people who stayed here, we got treated bad too. But we knew our enemy over here. We had studied our enemy over here. And we knew what to do and what not to do. But to go to a land where we don't speak the language and try to learn it while at the same time being hated, because this country was hated by many other countries, no thank you. So Frederick Douglass, not Abraham Lincoln, is the reason why I'm free in the United States of America. Check your facts on that. They don't want you knowing that either. And the abolitionists, I give him the credit too. Frederick Douglass and the abolitionists, not Abraham Lincoln. He was pushed into a corner. Because if he wanted us to be free in this country, that would have been his first decision. It was not. It was Frederick Douglass's and the abolitionists who forced him, who put leverage on him and said, just go ahead and die, bitch, we bouncing. And then all of a sudden he had to come back to him. Oh, shit, we need it. He didn't want it. That's why I never understood how Obama liked Abraham Lincoln. He never thought you were human. Even then, they said, oh, well, he was Aborigine, he's half black. I don't give a damn. I don't like Candace Owens. People who do not treat black people with respect, I don't care if you got black skin. I can't stand your ass. After what we went through, to sit here and tell, Abraham Lincoln said shit like, we don't have the brains, we'll never be equal to white people. Hell, I'm going to sit there and like that person. How the fuck you? I don't give a damn what era in life. You got to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. The African was treated beautifully when we first came here, before enslavement started. So don't give me this shit that it was a part of that time. No, it was evil shit. They treated us very respectful. When we first came here as indentured servants, the ones that they went and sailed around and got that was prisoners of war from other tribes, they were the ones who taught them how to do a lot of things they didn't know how to do. They said that group of Africans was the most civilized culture they brought here. So how you going to go from being the most civilized and they like you, and we weren't called black then, to being the most hated because they needed a slave labor they didn't want to pay for? And you're going to tell me it was just the times? No, bitch, they were evil. Go back and look at that shit. To simplify it, they want you to think, we can't be like this. Our ancestors, we're descendants of our ancestors. We can't be that bad. You're upset that they were that bad. And it's sad that you have the gene to be just as bad as them. You turn it on or you can turn it off. Because it's not a fluke that they were the way they were. Because they loved the African at first. They were taught to hate them through churches. The churches at the time. And you notice his last presidency run, how churches was talking all this crazy shit about race, and Democrats are not human, and this, that, and the third, demonizing people, calling shit woke, which means the N-word. In church, they're calling out the N-word. These racist fucks in church knew what the fuck they were talking about. This is not hard. It's not rocket science. It's very easy. And if you don't want to listen to a black person say it, go back and listen to the white guy. Southern Strategy is Lee something. Lee Atwater. Go listen to him. He explains it. He's one of the architects of it. Go listen to him. Again, knowledge is power. I don't make this shit up because I dislike somebody. I tell the truth because I learn it before they try to delete it. It's painful, but it needs to be said. And it needs to be learned from and studied and understand why it happened so it doesn't happen again. We can't keep sweeping it up under the rug eventually the rug's going to be full of fucking dirt. We need to clean our dirt. And how do we do that? We put it out there. We confess to it. And we say we won't do it again. And the way we won't do it again is that that piece of guilt has got to always remain. Because if you start to feel indifferent about it, that's when you have no problems in doing it again. That guilt stops you from doing it again. It stops you from going to the hate part and staying in the love part. But once that guilt goes away, you justify it. And once you justify it, you have no problems doing it again because it's not painful to you to do it. There's no limiter on how evil you can become when you start to believe the worst in history was okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I should leave it there. Hopefully people learn something. Hopefully we learn that we have got to be good to each other and make it a better place. Other than that, we're going back. And as you can see, we backsliding. And we got to fight to say, fuck no, you're not getting rid of my history so that you can feel good. Because once you feel good, you'll do it again. Not on my watch, you won't. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all being here. Alice, Early, appreciate you. Dennis, Petro, Rude, and Planet Janet, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. B Money, I see you. Who else we got? I don't want to miss anybody. I see you, Chuck and Vera. Azure, I see you. All my regulars, I love y'all. I appreciate you. Thank you for all my members. It's how I can continue to do this, how I got my camera, which I'm still trying to fix up. So I'll have my camera set up probably in another week or so. And we'll also start working on AJ's Collectibles. Appreciate you. Kenneth, I see you. I think I got through all the members first. I think Mark D was here earlier. I don't know if Mark D was working. Let me see. But you can always support the show any way you can so we can continue doing what we do and get better at what we do. I think I saw him at the very beginning. Yeah, Mark was here at the beginning. All right. That's cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We do this every day around 5:30-ish Pacific Standard Time. Today was just a history lesson because enough is enough already. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. All right? As always, I know people want to say straight facts, no chaser. I ain't going to do that. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. All right. That's the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to cut out. Y'all take it easy. Said, see if I get this set up right. There you go. And then take the mic back because I screamed this shit. I speak facts. Straight facts. No chaser. Fuck your feelings.